Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Green Life Garden Home DIY channel. It's your girl Ro, aka Mommy Green Life. So today I am in the garden, y'all. It feels good. You see I don't have any sleeves on, so it's not that cold this morning. Today what I'm going to be doing is harvesting some ginger, and I'm going to be harvesting my turmeric as well, because those are kind of like tropical plants. They're probably not going to do too much more growing because we're headed into our winter months. Once I go ahead and harvest them, I'm going to take a piece of the parent root and just put it back in the soil, and I will have it in a place where I'm going to cover with plastic to kind of like work as a makeshift greenhouse over the winter. And yeah, so what I'm going to do once I harvest it, I love pickled and fermented foods. So I'm going to pickle some of the ginger. I'm going to make a paste out of the ginger, and most likely I will dry some if I have quite a bit to make powder, or just leave it dried in a jar. The turmeric I plan to freeze, and I will probably dry some of that out as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get started getting everything all pulled up to see what I have. Yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so this is the area where I had my turmeric and ginger, or where it is at this point. And I'm going to be pulling it out. You see I got some pineapples over there. I've seen where most people kind of like don't really want to fool with pineapples because they just don't get the bang for the buck that they put into growing them. But I'm going to just give it a shot just because. So I'm going to go ahead and pull these buckets out, and I'm going to get ready to start looking through them. Alright, and I will show you the next step in just a moment. I'm looking at right here where they were going to bloom, but honestly I haven't been out here watering like I should. But anyway, okay, so I've got all my ginger pulled out of the corner there, and I'm going to go ahead and empty it over into this tote, because I want to try to save as much soil as I can and go ahead and refresh. And this is the turmeric that I have. It's not that big, but you know what, I'm going to still go ahead and get what I got, and again put back the pieces that I feel would continue producing. Yeah, I just want to break this loose and till I can expose the roots. Get to the actual rhizome. So let me get finished doing that, and I'll show you what we got. Okay, so I've got my roots, shall I say the soil broken down pretty good around it, and as you can see I've got some pretty good pieces of ginger in there. There's a piece all around here. So what I'm going to do is just start going in here and separating it. Okay, set that there. There's a nice fine piece right there. Setting it right there. And like I said, I always kind of leave some in the pot, because you know the most they could do is not make it, but they'll just lay dormant. That's what I've experienced when I've planted them in winter time before. They just lay dormant. They don't do anything. And then when I know anything, I come out one summer day and they're taking off. There's another nice piece on there right there. I was trying to look for the piece that I planted to actually get all of this, because sometimes that's the piece that you may want to put back, and you may want to put a fresh piece. So I'm going to go ahead and get this broken and loose, and I'm going to get the rest of my buckets, the soil loosened up so I can harvest all of my ginger. I love, love, love some pickled ginger. I hope that everybody is being encouraged right now so much, you know, that everybody is having to deal with right now. But I am here to encourage you and say that you're going to make it. I have just really been taking it one day at a time myself. You know, I love the people that are putting content out there that's really helping people to be able to sustain themselves and their families throughout this time and whatever to come. I tell you, the people that has really racked my nerves though, and that's the ones that's always trying to tell you that you know, there you should be doing this, you should be doing that, but nobody will tell you how to do it or show you how to go about it. Or if they do, they try to make it sound like it's something so difficult that you know, like that's something that you wouldn't be able to uh, muster up the strength to move forward on. So I don't know. I don't like when people do things like that. They use their scare tactics. They act like they got the answers, but they won't share them with nobody. That's just wrong on every level. Crazy to me. But you know, the answers are all around us. We just gotta dig in and figure some things out. That's all. You'll be fine. All right. So let me go ahead and get done. That's what I've gotten so far, and I'm getting ready to unearth this. I just got it out of my 5-gallon bucket. Now this right here that you're looking at, if you haven't already, you need to go check out my self-watering systems in the 5-gallon bucket, and you can see this is all intact. There's a piece of garden fabric around it, so there's no dirt, no anything that's gotten in here. The only thing that has been in here is water. I can see that there's roots that actually have made its way through and tried to grow into some of the bottles that was holding the water. But this is by far one of the best systems. I know we're not talking about self-watering systems right now, but I just had to throw that out there. And the roots, they grew straight down into it. You can see they don't wrap around like the other the root systems do that you are growing in pots that are not self-watering set up this way. Alright, so let me go ahead and finish getting the rest of my ginger and we'll move on. Just taking my bottles out. Yeah, roots all down in there. Roots all down in there. This one I just so happen to do with the smaller water bottles too. Most times I just use 1 big gallon jug. Yeah, you can see where the roots have been trying to make its way to that water. That's what it looks like. I'm going to take those little pieces over here and I'm going to replant those. This one, and there's several more over there. This is something that you should never have to buy out of the store, guys, because what I started with was just a couple of little pieces that I think was trying to go bad, and I thought, well, I might as well just put that in the dirt. And sure enough, I got a good return. All right, let me go ahead and get finished. There was quite a bit in that big 5-gallon bucket, and you can see the pieces. The pieces I'm noticing are bigger too because they were kept watered. Like I said, it's a self-watering system, and yeah, so I got some much bigger pieces from them automatically being watered. The others were kind of like depending on the rain. Alright, so yeah, coming along good. Also, make sure your dirt is dry whenever you're doing harvesting, because see how that mud is kind of sticking, which we're going to rinse it anyway, but it's a lot harder to actually separate it and loosen your soil and kind of set your soil aside. That's one that came out of soil that was pretty much dry. Okay, all right. Okay, I'm kind of having second thoughts about the turmeric. I've got some roots on that one. These are still pretty small. I do have one that's a little bit bigger. Oh, by the way, I seen somebody preparing their turmeric leaves also for like salads and stir fries. So let me see if I could find one that looks like it may have something a little bit larger going on. Yeah, not a whole lot going on with the turmeric. We'll have to let that stay for quite some time before we actually see some growth. So I'm gonna have to overwinter this. This one is actually what I planted. It is a bit bigger, it looks like. See, it's a lot juicier and red, so I'm gonna have to wait on that. I do see them starting to form. Okay. Okay, so this is what I got. Gonna go ahead and give it a good rinse. I have to give them a really good rinse. And I'll show you what it looks like after we're done. I absolutely love pickled foods, fermented foods. I took out my jar of sauerkraut here to show you my fermented sauerkraut as well as my fermented eggplant. Those are just so delicious. You can eat it with so much, and it is so healthy for your gut. So what we're going to need today, I have pink Himalayan sea salt in here. That's a half of a tablespoon. I have rice vinegar, white rice vinegar, and that's 4.1 ounces. I have 3.5 ounces of water, and I have my ginger. I have about 7 ounces of ginger here. I'm going to peel it with a spoon, and then I'm going to give it a good rinse in my water right here. And once I do that, I'm going to use my mandolin to slice it very, very fine, as thin as I can get it. And then I also have my sugar, about 5 tablespoons of sugar. I did 2.5 white and about 2.5 pure cane. And that was like a brownish type. I wish I could remember. Morena, I think it was the name of it, that came from the Dollar Tree. Okay, so also I'm going to take some of my vinegar that my ginger that I have left, and I'm going to most likely go ahead and slice that too, so that I can make some ginger powder. And yeah, so let's go ahead. Let me start peeling this and show you what it looks like, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, so most people don't know, including myself, for a very long time, I didn't know to just peel ginger with a spoon, and it will save you so much of the flesh of the ginger by peeling it with a spoon, because if you use a knife, you're going to dig into it and you're going to lose quite a bit of the actual ginger root. So you could go through, peel. If you have to cut off some of the little bad spots, okay. But for the most part, just try to get the skin off with a spoon, okay? So I'm going to go ahead, clean all of my ginger, skin it rather, and then I'm going to slice it. See, nothing's coming off but the skin. Alright, so I've got it all peeled. This is what it looks like. It's very tender and young, so it doesn't take much to get the peels off of it. I harvested it fresh just yesterday, day before actually, out of my garden. And yeah, so I'm just rinsing it right now. And once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and start slicing it up right there. Okay, as you can see, I'm just slicing the ginger here on this mandolin. Do be very careful. I do have an attachment that goes with this that slides up and down, but it don't want to really take my ginger for some reason. So just be careful not to cut your hand. I'll show you what the slices look like in just a second. They're going to be very, very thin. See, very thin. Okay, so I am done slicing. As you can see, I have a pile of ginger there. Put that there. And I'm going to take this ginger, see how thin it's sliced, and I'm going to put it in my water, and I'm going to let it sit in this water for about 15 minutes or so. Slice very thin. And try to remove any of the pungency that may be there. And once I get done with that, we will move on to the next step. I wanted to say right quick, I mentioned to you that I love fermented pickled foods. All pickled foods aren't created equal. If it's fermented with a pickling taste, then that's going to be a lot healthier than just throwing something over in your regular white distilled vinegar or what have you. This also calls for sugar. So, you know, this is more so, like I said, a good pickling for my ginger that I just really want to enjoy. So, while I'm doing this, I've got a jar, a mason jar in the oven that is going to be hot whenever I pull it out to use it to store my pickled ginger. And I'm going to, at this point, while this is soaking, go ahead and mix my water, my pot here. Mix my water and my sugar. I gotta get that out. And my salt. And I'm going to get all of that out with the spatula. And I'm going to heat this up on the stove top until it gets hot and dissolves. And then I'll add my vinegar to that. And we'll show you the next step. Okay, so I've let it set for about 15 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and strain it. Then I'm going to get ready to place it over into boiling water. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and dump these over into a pot of boiling water here, as you can see, for a couple of minutes. Kind of move them around in there a little bit. After this, I'm going to dry them off and they'll be ready for the jar. Okay. While that's sitting there, I'm going to go ahead and since my sugar and water and everything has dissolved here in this pot. Oops, has dissolved in this pot. I'm trying to get where you can see it. Not that much. I'm going to go ahead now. This is the point. I'm going to pour my vinegar into. Okay, before my phone went out, I went ahead and poured my vinegar over into my water mixture that I heated up on the stove to dissolve. And so that's there. I have this in hot boiling water here for 1 to 2 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and remove these, and I'm going to get them dried out, and then we're going to place it into our jar. Okay, here's my jar. I'm handling it with a pair of tongs because it has been sitting in the oven hot. I'm going to go ahead put my ginger in there. I did pat my ginger dry as I could. You can see it's still smoking just a bit there. And what I did for my lid, ring, and lid is I wiped them with vinegar. This is going to be so good. Like I said, I love, love, love pickled foods. Okay, so got all of that in there. Now, get it all. I am going to go ahead and add my sauce, which is the sugar, vinegar. Trying to get it where you guys can see it. I'm fill it up there. Leave about a 1-inch head space or half. Push that down. And this isn't supposed to seal or anything like that. But heating the jar was to sterilize it, and you know, cleaning the top with vinegar, that was for sterilizing. So I'm going to let this sit for I guess probably about as long as I can stand it. And then I'm going to go ahead and eat some. The ginger, you'll notice it may turn a little pinkish, and that's because of the anthocyanin, I think it is, that's in it. I've got to remember that name. But there you have it, pickled ginger. And I am going to enjoy that. You can eat it with all sorts of meals by itself, just as you would a pickle. Again, this is not fermented, so you know it won't have the properties that fermented foods would for gut health. But ginger, you just can't go wrong with, period. I don't believe enough of the properties have been removed that it wouldn't be beneficial in some way. So, all right, that's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Do give it a shot. Let me know what you think. And I will see you on the next video. One love.